very belated January TBR video. Let's go ahead and go. Hi everyone, my name is Rose, also known as TA Summers. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a January TBR video, and this is a very ambitious TBR for the month of January. Some of these books may look familiar to you because they're ones that some of them I've carried over from the previous month into this month, and I'm going to try to see if I can tackle them, especially since I feel like I'm slowly getting back my reading mojo in terms of being able to finish things. This is also going to be a video. Originally I had planned to do 5 reads for a reading vlog for this respective video, but unfortunately 2 things happened. Number one, I wasn't able to complete the 5 books that I originally had set out to do for the reading vlog, and number 2, I ended up finishing 3 books, but the experience for each of them was not quite as pleasant as I was expecting them to be. So I'm going to give you a summary of all the books that I was able to read for the spectrum of this respective video, and I'll have another reading vlog up after on this video, I believe, in terms of things, because I have a number of books that I'm flying through at present, especially since they're short reads. So without further ado, let's go ahead and begin. First things first, this book may look familiar to you. This was one that I knew I wanted to go ahead and finish for the month of January. This is Tread of Angels by Rebecca Roanhorse, one of my favorite authors. As you can see, I have gotten a little bit into it, so I'm hoping to be able to finish that this month. Second book that I want to feature is one that I had on my TBR for last month. This is You Can Go Your Own Way by Eric Smith. So you can see this is the cover right here. This is considered to be YA, and I think Tread of Angels is considered to be adult fantasy, so just FYI. Next book that I want to feature is one that I started, put on my TBR, and I wanted to finish. This is Every Summer After by Carly Fortune, and this is the cover for your reference. We'll see how this one goes. I've heard mixed opinions about it in terms of the community with respect to how this is perceived as an adult romance with other issues within it, but we'll see how this goes. So far from what I picked it up, I actually like it, but we'll see. Next book is considered to be YA contemporary. This is Becky Abertalli's Imogen. Obviously, you may recognize this cover as well because I've had it on my TBR list previously, and I'm planning on finishing this month. Next is a relatively short read, and I've talked about it on the channel before. This is Adrian Tchaikovsky's Ogres. This is considered to be sci-fi, adult sci-fi, I believe. I don't think it's adult fantasy. I think it's adult sci-fi, but if I'm wrong about that, I'll correct it later. Next book should be familiar to you in terms of things. I had this on my TBR, I believe, for last month. This is All the Fighting Parts by Hannah V. Sawyer. I know this is going to be a difficult read, but I'm hoping to be able to get through it this month. And then next, and all of these are considered to are my library books, so just FYI in terms of things. All the Fighting Parts is YA, contemporary YA. And then finally, I have Sylvia Day's So Close. This is the Blacklist novel. This should not take me too long to get through, but this has been on my TBR before as well. And this is considered to be adult romance, I believe. And then we also have another one of my selections from the library, and I will talk about this because this is the only one on my TBR that I have completed so far this month. This is Desperate Measures by Katee Robert. This is a very mature retelling of Disney's Aladdin with erotic elements, and we'll talk more about this later on in the video. And then finally, this is a YA horror, and I'm very excited to be able to read this. This is We Don't Swim Here by Vincent Torrado, and this is the cover for your reference. I'm including this in another reading vlog video for your reference, so I haven't had I wasn't able to get to it for the scope of this respective video, but I'm going to try to see if I can include it in the next video in terms of reflecting on it and giving my thoughts about it. So that is all of the library books that I chose to include on my TBR. Now we're going to get to a couple of the books that I own that I wanted to add to my TBR. First one is considered to be adult nonfiction, and this is from one of my favorite artists. She's sadly passed away. This is Happiness Becomes You by Tina Turner. I'm really excited to be able to read this and give my thoughts about it. And then I also mentioned this on the channel before. I wanted to give a formal review of Devin Monk's work on the channel, and so I decided to do a rereading of the Broken Magic series. So this is the first book in this respective series, Hellbent. This is the redesigned cover, as you can see for your reference. Really wonderful cover redesign, and I'm very excited to be able to pick this up again and give you my thoughts about it. We also have some NetGalley reads that I wanted to read out relatively quickly for you. In terms of books that I want to be able to read through this month. So I'm going to put it up here for your reference in terms of the covers and just briefly go through them. First one is Escaping Mr. Rochester by L.L. McKinney. This is a YA retelling of Jane Eyre, and since I really enjoy Jane Eyre as a novel, I really wanted to pick this up, especially, and I was very, very happy to get the approval for the NetGalley copy. I believe this will release on the 16th of January, so by the time this video goes up, it will be out so you can purchase it. So I'm excited to be able to get to it and give you my thoughts about it. Next is Into the Sunken City by Nash. This is considered to be a YA, I believe it's dystopian, but I'm not 100% sure. I could be wrong on that. I will add a note to this for your reference in terms of what it's classified as, but I am really, really excited to be able to pick this up, and I'm glad I was able to get approved for it as a galley copy. I'm definitely going to be able to get to that this month. It looks, the cover is absolutely beautiful. Next is an adult romance. This is from Harlequin, Part of His Royal World by Nina Singh. This is a cover up for your reference. And then another book that I am very excited to be able to read and look forward to that's releasing later this month is The Colliding Worlds of Mina Lee by Ellen O. This is considered to be YA, and I believe this is the story of a young artist who gets sucked into her own her comic world. She's a comic artist, and she gets sucked into her own world, and this really excites me because it's been a little while since I picked up an Ellen O book, but I'm excited to be able to get to it. And then finally, for my NetGalley reads, that one that I wanted to be able to prioritize for this month, it's a little bit further out in terms of when it will actually release. I don't think it releases until March, but I wanted to go ahead and get to it this month. This Could Be Us by Kennedy Ryan is the follow-up to Before I Let Go, and I'm very excited to be able to read this, since Before I Let Go was one of my favorite reads of 2022. So I definitely am looking forward to that, and I will give you my thoughts as soon as I can. So that is it in terms of my TBR list. Now we're going to get into what I was able to read for this month, so far this month, in terms of the reading vlog that I've had. I've read a total of 5 books so far in 2024. That One Night and Pucking Around by Emily Rath, which I had obvious opinions about in terms of things. You can see my video review of both of those in the cards above, as well as in the description down below. But I'm going to talk about what books I was able to pick up since that point, and it's a total of 3. First one that I want to feature is the one that I included on my TBR. This is Desperate Measures by Katee Robert. This is an adult erotic retelling of Disney's Aladdin, and it's part of a larger series called the Wicked Villains series. I knew that I wanted to pick this up and based on the premise of it alone in terms of things, because of how it was described to me as being kind of a reversal of different things. It was inspired by a specific scene in Disney's Aladdin, like towards the end of the movie, where Jasmine and Jafar are during the kind of final confrontation. She is diverting attention from Aladdin as he's trying to sneak in. And Katee Robert said that she was inspired for that particular scene to write this particular book. So it's a retelling in which Jasmine and Jafar are involved, and Aladdin, or Ali as he's known in this book, is considered to be the villain, which when I heard that, I'm like, oh, this is going to be interesting. I'm settled in for it. I'm here for it. Let's see where it goes. And this ended up being very disappointing in my opinion. I had been warned about some triggering things that had been in this in terms of non-consensual encounters, and there is one specific scene in the very beginning of this book that features Jasmine as well as Jafar in terms of a non-consensual encounter. So I had the warning for it. It still did not go over well with me, but I still continued through it to see where it went. And the disappointment that I had was that I thought it was tedious to get through. I was bored in terms of things, despite everything that was going on, despite the conflict and the characters in terms of continuous encounters in terms of things, and then also like crossing different fandoms in terms of the Disney, like in its own like multiverse, where Tinkerbell, also known as Tink, is involved. Hades, who manages a rendezvous place, as well as Meg, or Megara, is in here as well. I just could not get into this respective book. I thought the characters were flat. There were certain pieces of dialogue that felt fun to me to read in the mentality of the characters themselves, like in the character voices. So I think Katee Robert captured the voices of the characters well, but it just did not, for me, it didn't go anywhere, and I wasn't really engaged in terms of what was going on because I felt that the characterization was flat and I couldn't care about the characters really, even though they were doing all these different things and engaging in all of these different, like, very mature, very erotic talk. Like, I was like, nah, this is not working for me. It's not my thing. So for the scope of things, at least I was able to flex my creative wings a little bit, like in terms of writing the review of this. Like, I had moments where, like, you know, it was fun to be able to read the dialogue, but overall, this doesn't seem like it was a book for me, and it doesn't seem like a series that's for me. I gave this 1.5 stars out of 5 stars. So that will probably be my end of picking up the Wicked Villain series by Katee Robert. So this is Desperate Measures by Katee Robert, 1.5 out of 5 stars. Next books that I read were ones that I read, one an audiobook and the other one was a Kindle Unlimited selection. So I picked up 2 other romance books, but these at least had a common theme to them. They were considered to fall under new adult bully romances. And these 2 books have been given to me as kind of recommendations because I was looking for recommendations in terms of the category, subgenre under new adult, where the common theme that tied them is that these were romances in which one of members of the couple was a bully, or a former bully, either currently bullying or former bully of the other person in the relationship. And that was the stipulation I gave the person who recommended these 2 books to me. And I'm going to talk about the one that actually struck me better than the other one, which the other one was Hot Mess and a Half. We'll get to that soon. But I did pick up The Bully by Willa Nash, who is also known as Devney Perry. I had gotten this on audiobook, and basically the story that is told in The Bully, it is the 4th book in the Calamity Montana series. It can be read as a standalone, so that's something that if you're familiar with the Calamity Montana series, you don't have to read the other books to have context for the 4th book. But if you want to do that, you could. But I read the 4th book, The Bully, And it's basically the story of Cal, who is a 33-year-old football player who is recently retired, and he moves to Calamity, Montana, which is a small town, and to be close to one of his best friends. And Cal, by chance of a lot of different things in terms of chance encounters, he ends up encountering the girl who he used to bully in high school named Nellie. And Nellie is also the friend of the common friend that they share in terms of being best friends, but he doesn't, the best friend doesn't get in, basically like kind of stays out of their way in terms of their relationship with each other. But you can tell from the beginning of the bully that both Cal and Nellie have a contentious relationship. And they butt heads almost immediately after they meet each other in terms of things. During a babysitting run, Cal and Nellie just happen to be watching over their best friend's kid, and they're in the same house together. And Nellie asks Cal to put some boxes up in terms of the storage, and he comes across one of Nellie's diaries and takes it for himself. He actually reads the diary, and that provides the context in terms of the history that they have in terms of all the things that he did when he was younger, when he was in high school, to bully her. And so it trades between the past and the present in terms of showcasing the history of what Cal did to Nellie when she was younger, and also trading between the present when Nellie is trying to run Cal out of town because she does not want to be around him. The setup for this is, and I said this in my review of The Bully, is relatively icky to start because obviously he steals her journal and starts reading it, and kind of starts reading it like it's a novel in terms of stuff, carries it with it, which is, to me, it was violating and weird, but I figured like I would follow it to see where it went, especially getting to the point in the novel where she discovers that he had taken it in the first place. And you get the context between these two in terms of why they have an animosity towards each other. And for me, I was of two minds about this. It at least establishes how their relationship came about, how their interactions are with each other. And I think it's a little bit more detailed than some of the bully romances that I've had picked up previously in terms of things. And the person who recommended it to me had said, like, Rose, you might actually like this better than some of the other stuff that you've picked up in terms of the subgenre. I think after, with respect to what Nellie does in the present, as she's trying to run Cal out of town in a series of different events, she pours coffee down his shirt, pants, starts like public declarations in terms of things that are meant to embarrass him and call him out on the privilege and the differences between them, because Cal is a golden boy, like who was born from in a rich family, very wealthy family, basically could get whatever, do the bare minimum and still get what he wants. Whereas Nellie is a girl on scholarship. They went to a very elite high school, and she basically struggled in terms of things. And Cal was not the only one who bullied her during high school, but it was clear that he was one of the driving forces to why she was bullied during high school. But trading between the past and present, in the present, essentially Nellie's idea to run him out of town is essentially bullying the bully, as it were. And she realizes very quickly that that does not work. And at least this narrative showcases like the consequences of some of the things that she ends up doing to him in terms of stuff where he is not okay with it. And it shows that like in terms of things, and she feels guilty about it. So at least I can give the narrative credit for being able to get into the heads of both Nellie and Cal as they trade perspectives and trade between the past and the present, in terms of establishing their relationship and where it started from, and how it's continuing. And then the other aspect of it is that these two had a hate-love relationship, so they were intimate and they were involved as a couple, even if it was just for the sake of being intimate. So they have a very complicated history. And the novel For the Bully kind of chronicles their respective history and how they work through specific issues of that. I felt like the overarching attitude, the overarching premise of The Bully had merit, even if I did not like the setup that was established with it, especially with the Cal taking her diary. I did feel like I knew who these characters were. The narrative did a really good job of being able to showcase like their respective relationships and how they had this respective history and what came into that, and then also being able to see how they worked through certain issues. I don't know if I was completely convinced of their chemistry together. I feel like with respect to how they came together and how they saw each other in terms, because they were continuously fighting, going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I could tell that there was affection there, but at the same time, there were a lot of different allowances that I think Nellie had to have to be able to see Cal as somebody that she wanted to be with, and Cal really not owning up to the moment in terms of the things that he did wrong. He apologized to other people, like in terms of the things that he did when he was like in his past, but it didn't feel like that translated fully to Nellie. And even to the point where you get to where they have the confrontation of her realizing that he took her diary in terms of things, I don't think that went far enough in terms of like them grappling with that conflict, because it kind of brushed aside that particular conflict. And I thought that was underwhelming for what it chose to do, at least 70% into the novel. But overall, I feel like it was one of the better types of this particular subgenre that I picked up. And so, like, I did enjoy the audiobook. I enjoyed the narrators who were part of it. But I still feel like there were things about this that still didn't sit well with me. I did like it better than Bully by Penelope Douglas, which is a kind of a low bar to set because that book did not work for me at all. But I did like The Bully by Willa Nash, Devney Perry. I gave this 2 out of 5 stars, which you would think that that would be a low score, like in terms of things, but considering everything that happened, I did think it was very well written. I just don't think it really did went far enough in terms of being able to wrestle with the conflict, given their respective history and given Cal and Nellie's relationship. So, The Bully by Willa Nash, Devney Perry, 2 out of 5 stars. And then we have the final book that I'm going to talk about in this respective video in terms of a review. I read the first book in what is it straddles the line between a mature YA read and a new adult read. This was Fall by McKayla Box, which is part of the Sunset Beach series. And this particular book definitely felt like it was a train wreck to be a train wreck. So this is also considered to be a bully romance. This showcases the tale of a high school senior named Presley, who is moving to Sunset Beach to be with her father to finish out her year. And she's the new kid on the block, so she's trying to adjust in this respective town where everyone is very judgmental. Everyone is basically like from like all these really high class backgrounds and things like that. And she meets Trevor, who is the town bad boy whose family can get away with everything, essentially. So you can see the power dynamic between them from the very get-go. Fall worked for me the best in terms of everything that went on, despite this not being a great experience for me, was the fact that Presley was a character who had a lot of classic one-liners, zingers to kind of push against the people who tried to bully her and harass her and abuse her. So she really had some moments where she was pushing back against the bullying that she was experiencing. And it is a lot of bullying. It's a lot of different things that happen in this respective book that were very harrowing, to say the least, that happened to Presley. And she does end up having some friends who support her. She navigates her relationship with them. She navigates her relationship with her dad, who is divorced, and her mom, who is living elsewhere, who tries to have a relationship with Presley, but Presley isn't having it because she blames her mom for the divorce. Dad's trying to pick up the pieces, and the reason why he's in Sunset Beach to begin with is because of a job that is high class and that can make him or break him. So they're both trying to struggle to be in this respective town of Sunset Beach, which I'm the way that I'm describing it sounds appealing, but it's very streamlined. At least another thing about this, it was very quick to read, but it was very threadbare in terms of the relationships and the way that these characters are drawn. Really, the most fleshed out character was Presley. Everybody else is a caricature in terms of things. There's a lot of girl shaming. There's a lot of name calling. There's a lot of bullying. There's a lot of harassment and abuse. And Presley is just taking it one after other, after other, after other. And it gets to the point where in the midst of this, like, a lot of the reason why she is bullied is because Trevor is paying her attention, and Trevor ends up having a relationship with Presley, like, even though he's very rude and very mean to her in so many different respects. And I'm like, girl, why do you like this guy? He is terrible. But you see that she's the good girl, he's the bad boy. They end up having certain encounters in terms of things, despite her best thoughts. Like, she does the things that are opposite of what she shouldn't do, and essentially that drives the conflict for this back and forth. And I followed it up to a time because a lot of it is just drama after drama after drama, but I think I got to the 90% point of the book, and something that happens to Presley up to that particular point just said, okay, I am not following the rest of the series in terms of where it goes, because I know about the toxic relationships that are here, and it's just going to keep making excuses for why Presley and Trevor should be together and that kind of thing, even though all of these characters are toxic and all of these characters are basically influencing Presley to do things that she shouldn't be doing in terms of things. And I said, nah, I'm good with stopping this. So overall, I feel like fall just did not work for me. I've read better establishment of characters and conflicts like this. The portrayal of high school bullying and relationships and romantic relationships and things like Gossip Girl and things like Pretty Little Liars, and Private is another one that I can think of right off the top of my head. It's that same type of drama, only those books did it better than this one did, and I was tired of it by the time I finished. I'm like, thank goodness I am done. So ultimately, Fall by McKayla Box did not work for me. 1 out of 5 stars. It just did not work for me, and I knew I wanted to be done with the series once I finished that particular book. So those are my thoughts on all of the books that I was able to pick up for this respective video and my January TBR. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button and hit the bell to be informed of when I post new videos. Thank you again for watching. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day, and I'll see you next video.